Hey, you guys, I wanted to talk a little bit today about fasting. Fasting in terms of faith practice and fasting in terms of mental health, and how, just like in my coaching practice, how I say spirituality and faith and mental wellness are not mutually exclusive, right? The benefits of fasting are universal because they're good for us. It's good for us. It works as a faith practice and it works in our wellness because it's good for us. It's who we're made to be. And so tomorrow starts Lent, right? And I am one of those crazy Catholics, and you'll see a bunch of us walking around tomorrow with ashes on our head. And I understand that a lot of the Christic traditions and the rituals that we participate in are confusing. It may seem crazy to some. And I understand that, and it's not for everybody. But the beauty in the tradition and the lineage of the ancient practices is a beautiful thing to be a part of if that's something that you connect to. And so Lent is my favorite time of year. I love it for all that it represents. I love it for the passion of Christ, the reminder of what he endured for us. And, part of the practice of Lent is fasting. And so why? What does fasting have to do with God or faith? Or why would fasting make you more spiritual? And so fasting is a practice that is not straight Catholic or Christian, right? Christians do it because it was done in the Jewish tradition as well. We do it because Jesus, right before he began his ministry, he spent 40 days in the desert by himself. And at the end of it, you might know the story of the temptation where Satan tempted Jesus after 40 days and he was weak and starving, and he was tempted 3 different ways by the devil. And Jesus obviously turned the devil down, and then the angels tended to Jesus. And that point is when Jesus began his ministry, right? Up until then, he was preparing. That is when he emerged from that 40 weeks clear on what his purpose was as the savior of the world. Thankfully, we're not called to fast for 40 days straight, and we are not called to be the saviors of the world. We are his brothers and sisters. And so we do it in remembrance of what he did for us. We also do it to bring ourselves closer to God. So eating is really the last vestige of absolute control that we have over our lives. From your hand to your mouth is really 100% in our control. And I can't really think of much else that is 100% in our control. And so being intentional and mindful about how and when we eat, how we satiate our bodies, and with what, really makes us pause, reflect, and connect. So if you're mindlessly eating a cookie or something, there's no connection there. You're not in the moment. If you stop and you say, God, be with me in this moment, it's an invitation to draw closer to God. It's an invitation to utilize the sacrifice and the delay of the pleasure of the food and offer it in prayer instead. Offer it as a way to connect to what is holy and sacred, which, by the way, is in you, right? It's who you are. And so the more we're able to be aware of this last vestige of control that we have, the closer we're able to draw to our spirituality. And now mindfulness, it's practicing mindfulness, right? And applying it in a spiritual way. So if you're a client of mine, you know that I am a huge proponent of intermittent fasting for the exact same reason. Having the awareness of the control where you're not just numbing, you're not just eating, right? So in therapy, oftentimes our vices, whether it's alcohol or sex or drugs or shopping or whatever it is, are utilized to numb our feelings, right? We don't want to feel them, so we distract ourselves. Eating does the same thing. So if you intermittent fast, or if you participate in fasting for a spiritual reason, different reasons, same procedure, you're forced to feel the feelings, right? Being hungry is uncomfortable, but I would say 9 times out of 10, what we're feeling as hunger is dissatisfaction or a feeling of lack that has nothing to do with nourishment. We are overnourished, overfed, right? There's no starving here. We're numbing. We're keeping ourselves from feeling what it is that needs to be felt. So in a holistic coaching perspective, I love fasting as an invitation to take a pause and question what you're numbing yourself from. And from a Lenten perspective, it gives us a moment. It makes me cry because it's so beautiful and powerful and in the fabric of who we are, because fasting has been a part of human tradition as long as there's been records kept. Spiritually fasting in an effort to draw closer to our holiness, to be mindful of what we're missing, that connection that we're missing, that we're numbing with food, is a beautiful, beautiful invitation. And of course, when we do it during Lent, we're doing it as a penance and as a homage to all that Jesus suffering and all the abundance that we have in our life that we take for granted. And it's not like a Catholic guilt thing, right? We get such a bad rap, and it's just such a beautiful faith. It's not about feeling guilty, and it's not about going without so that your pain demonstrates your beliefs. It's not about that. It's about love. It's about connection. It's absolutely wonderful. So if anybody, I'm just thinking of this now as I'm recording this, like maybe we should do like a fasting group. Would anybody want to join me in a Lenten? We'll do like a Facebook Messenger group where we can practice fasting together during Lent and make it prayerful and make it spiritual. Now it's going to help your mental health. So from a physiological perspective, right? So we talked about mindfulness and holistic wellness, and we talked about spirituality. Physically, what fasting does that we are completely lacking in America, it takes 12 hours for your food to digest fully. Like 12 hours from your last bite for your stomach to be empty. It isn't until all of the sugars and all of the carbs and all of the enzymes and all of the processes of digesting the food are done before your body's systems can shift over to cleaning mode. If your body's busy digesting food and absolutely alcohol, if your body's busy breaking that down, it doesn't have time to do the things it needs to do in order to make you fire optimally. Your kidneys don't get a chance to clean your blood as well because it's processing the food you ate. It's your kidneys and your intestines, your whole GI tract, your blood, your oxygenation of your brain. Like if your body is busy burning new stuff, it doesn't have time to clean out the old stuff, right? This is science. This is gut health. This is my Jiminy Jam. So from a very pragmatic, functional perspective, a 16-hour fast gives your body 4 hours to process all the stuff it already has after it's digested the food you've given, right? So that is healthful. You're going to sleep better. You're going to have decreased inflammation. You're going to have more regular poops. We don't talk about poop enough. We should, because it's important. So that is the most basic functionality of fasting, right? And then we have the holistic mindfulness piece, the awareness, the connection. It makes me cry because it's so damn important. And then the most beautiful element, the biggest piece, the most connected and spiritual part is using fasting as a connection to God and an awareness of our shortcomings as humans and his abundance for us. And so we take a break away from all that we have and remember all that he's given us without consuming it mindlessly. And so I wanted to record this today because Lent starts tomorrow and I will be fasting. And I wanted to give an invitation. I don't know if this is something somebody might be interested in. And it will be prayerful, but it won't have to be Catholic, right? I adore my Catholic faith and I understand it's not for everybody. And I don't think there's one way to God. So you're not going to get, Catholics only or Christians only in my world. Community. God lives in community. God lives in love and sacrifice and connection. Where two or more. Why am I crying? I just love this so much. I love Lent. Let me know. Let me know if it's something you might be interested in doing. I'll make a group, a Facebook group, I guess, and we can maybe start with a prayer or break our fast together, or maybe just end with a reflection at the end of the day, or share if anything holy came up for you during your fast during Lent. And it can look different for everybody. Some people do full fast on, Ash Wednesday, which is tomorrow, and Fridays. Some people do soups only on Friday, or they skip meat, or, however the sacrifice looks for you. It doesn't all have to be the same. For me, I like the idea of incorporating an intermittent fast for 16 hours and maybe one 24-hour fast a week as a devotion to prayer during Lent, beyond what we normally would do for mental health. So what do you guys think? I don't know. I kind of like the idea. I really have to stop wearing dark colors with my dog hair all over me. All right, guys, I love you. Take care. Bye.